What is going on, guys and girls? How you doing today? It's Anger Roleplayer here once again, and time has come to finally show you guys my second build of the league, and this is the explosive trap Saboteur with the Flamethrower Trap on top. And I haven't played traps in a long time, more than 10 leagues ago actually. This is when I created my arc trapper build, which became so fucking popular when they buffed traps. And I wanted to revisit traps because there's so many new things have appeared, and like how traps are viable now, what I can do to make it easier to survive, what else can you make it, to be able to sustain the trap cost with mana, what else can be there to really make trap viable. So I've delved quite deep into the build, and overall the build was an absolute fucking success. I was deeply surprised by how the build shaped up. There's a ton of damage, the clear speed is actually great with some new supports like the second wind and all the amazing amount of things you can stack. At the same time, this is my first full dodge build. I haven't done dodge never before. And this is for this build I decided I'm gonna stack like full dodge to make it very tanky, because the majority of the trappers that you see on the PoE Ninja, for example, if you just go and check what people are doing, they have like 4,000 life, no acrobatics. Well, maybe they get acrobatics, sometimes they do. That's all practically. They have no sustain, everything hits they are dead. That's how just the trappers are, and I wanted to solve fundamental flaws of the trappers and make it a tanky, high DPS build, and that's what I accomplished in my build. Let's take a look. Before we go further into the video, I would like to stop for a second and thank my Patreon supporters and Twitch subscribers. You guys are making a huge impact on my life and allow me to get going and continue creating content for all of you. Thank you so much. If you want to make it into the list and immortalize yourself on the internet, join Patreon to get sneak peeks and behind the scenes footage of my work. I'm always looking for feedback on my content, guys, in order to improve, so making sure you always leave comment, like or dislike. Your reaction is very important. And remember,
you are making a difference.
So what have I accomplished in this build? First of all, overall is a pretty kind of classic Saboteur with Tinker skin, but there's a few tweaks that I made to the build. First of all, I'm using the explosive trap, which has no cooldown. It's a very high DPS trap with enormous amount of AoE, and trust me guys, you don't want to try fire trap. Explosive trap is the way to go, and it also has a pretty fantastic helm enchant which gives you 2 additional explosions. Overall, explosive trap is probably the strongest trap in the game, along with arc trap. There's just no other comparison that you can make. The second thing that has changed to the trap is the new gloves, which were introduced in the Incursion League. They are called the Slave Driver's Hand. They basically give you blood magic for throwing traps, and it means you don't need any mana regeneration, you don't need any clarity, you don't need any fucking mana flask. Basically you throw traps with your mana, and if the trap triggers or hits something, you recover the same you throw traps with life, and at the same time it synergizes with Tinker skin, because when shit triggers with Tinker skin you get life back, so it's kind of the non-stop recovery, and it just synergy is fantastic. Slave Driver's Hand is the best thing that happened for trappers in a while. And the last thing that I created in this build is definitely I incorporated Flamethrower Trap, because it's a pretty high DPS trap, so I'm using multiple traps with the 4-link Flamethrower Trap, which basically gives a decent amount of DPS for these kind of fat, big packs, especially in the Delirium, especially in the Simulacrum. I also completed 25 Simulacrum a couple of times on this character. It's not a big of a deal. Another important thing to mention why this build is so crazy unique is because I also went full dodge, like I mentioned before, And by full dodge I mean it's not the acrobatics, it's actually over 60% of attack dodge and over 70% of spell dodge. Just imagine, actually 74% of spell dodge that I achieved. This is practically kind of like a blocking gladiator amount of sustain. And why dodge is so OP and also the hardest to stack? Because you gain no dodge as a whole on the tree. You practically don't get dodge on anywhere, even on the ascendancies you can get dodge. Dodge is the hardest stat, the hardest mitigation stat that is possible to gather, but it's also one of the most strongest, because basically dodge means that just nothing hits you at all. It's like a block. At the same time, if you compare evasion to dodge, what's the difference between the evasion and dodge, if you're curious? So evasion, when you get dexterity you get evasion. Evasion means you basically evade attacks, but with the dodge you can also get the chance to dodge spells. So basically with dodge you can dodge both spells and attacks at the same time. So it's way stronger than evasion. It's practically I would say as good as the block. So definitely this was an interesting quest to play a full dodge character. I stacked it over 60, I think 4% of attack dodge and about 70 plus spell dodge, making me super tanky even in the very tough encounters. And I don't think that anyone has ever done this, anyone has tried this approach, so that's what I did. And I'm very surprised with how it all turned out. It actually is a very fantastic, versatile build. And the last thing, but probably the most important thing that I actually forgot to say when I started this video, is how cheap this build is. This guys is the cheapest, strongest league starter builds I've ever played in my life, and I've played a lot of builds. I've played over 35 builds so far in this game, which I created personally, and this is the cheapest, strongest build I've ever done and ever played. Literally, it doesn't need anything to get going. You get explosive trap like in level 1, then you buy some 90% increased trap damage scepters and level like 40 plus, and you go to the Cyrus. That's it. You like Tinker Skin 6 link, guys. It's cost 30k this league. It's practically like the cheapest league starter, the strongest boss killing cheap league starter I've ever played. I'm not kidding, this is insane, and I would definitely recommend this right now as my league starters, that's for sure guaranteed. So let's take a look at path of building, guys. Here we are in the path of building, guys, and this is my exact character that I'm playing. As you can see, that's the Saboteur. I reached level 95 on this character, and this overall is a pretty standard Saboteur, but with a little twist. It's a little bit more complicated than the majority of the Saboteurs that you see out there on PO Ninja or anywhere else. So let's take a look. First of all, we'll start as a shadow over here, get this trap damage nodes, get this life over there, and go up. And the first goal that we need to get is to reach this life wheel, as well as crit here, and all the way to the high explosives. This is where the big juice of the Saboteur is. By that time, you will probably be getting your first ascendancy, which is the Pyromanic. 1% of life regenerated per trap triggered recently, up to 10%. This is mandatory to get as soon as possible. This is how you survive early on. And after that, just juice up the life over here, and you can transition down there to get the acrobatics and start getting more like survival ability. This is very important to get as early as possible, guys, because Shadow is a squishy character, good DPS, but always very squishy, always very hard to get life rolls on anything, very low life pool, always like 4,000 or 5,000. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the build guide, we will be stacking dodge as crazy. This is all main sustain. This is the numbers with dodge that you need to reach. Is about 60 plus attack dodge and 70 plus spell dodge. This is pretty ridiculous. I've never seen anyone doing anything like that, and this the sole reason why it allowed me to survive. And I actually tanked Kosis at level 20 wave simulacrum. Face to face, I tanked Kosis and took him down in about practically like 5 seconds. So that's about it. So after you get the acrobatics, you can actually transition and get a little more fat life over here, Master Sapper, and you can go to the left, getting the crit annihilation, some life over there, and life over here, and life over here. After you get all this juice, you can start actually doing more damage by getting these nodes over there, the crits, getting more jewels like sockets there. And probably by that time you will start saving money for the Thread of Hope, and this is the large ring Thread of Hope. Thread of Hope is the jewel that drops from the Cyrus only, and it allows you to allocate the notable passives without allocating the path through it, so you can get all the fat trapper juice reaching with the large ring, which is Blast Cascade, Expeditious Munitions, Saboteur, Assassination, Wearing All Blades, and the Master of Force, which gets a little more phase damage. That's about it. This is kind of the I would say it does a lot of quality of life when you get this, so try to get this as fast as possible. Even with a lot more all resistance, just try to get the large ring ASAP, guys. After 90 plus, this is where we'll be getting the cluster jewels, and I'm not sure if the cluster jewels will be still there after the patch, but if they will, there's a couple of things that we need to get. First of all, it's the medium cluster jewel with Set and Forget and Surprise Sabotage. Set and Forget just gives you trigger arrow effect and the trap damage, and Surprise Sabotage is just pure crit multi and penetration with traps. And the small one is actually the chance to dodge attack hits with 2 nodes over here, which gives me more dodge, life, and strength, and darting movements. Darting movements is 5% chance to dodge attack and spell hits while moving. Since you're always in the move, we're a fast, dodgy piece of shit. So, you know, this is kind of the best thing if you're stacking dodge. I think that's about it for the tree, guys. For the Ascendancy, the second is definitely, I would say, Perfect Crime. Definitely Perfect Crime second. The third is the Born in the Shadows. This gives you the blind shit around. Aura kind of is make you very defensive. And the last is Explosive Expert. This is pure DPS. This is good. And this is a fantastic synergy with the auras that we have, which is Skitterbots, which is Shocking Aura. This is fantastic, actually. Increased critical strike chance against shocked enemies. Since they will always be shocked and chilled by the Skitterbots, basically Explosive Expert will always work. Let's take a look at the items then. This is my actual item, and this is the multi-mod Avance that I crafted only when I reached like 90 plus, when I actually got the multi-mod and the currency to do this. This is kind of the GG endgame weapons you need to get. This gives you a lot of damage, but I ran all the way up to the 90 with just this. This is the Scepters, one-handed mace, or a one if you can get it, with the Temple mod with trap damage, over 90% of trap damage. If you can get something useful like crit, chance for spells, added fire damage, you know, fire damage to spells, get it. This costs practically nothing. It's like, you know, 20 chaos for this, and if you get 2 of this, it will carry you all the way to the Cyrus and beyond. The second one is pretty much the same shit, just the one with a lot of spell damage, +1 to all 5 spells, gems, crit, and fire damage to spells. That's it. The helmet is practically anything, life resist, and the helmet channel is explosive trap, causes 2 additional small explosions. The body armor is a Tinker skin, and this is super cheap actually, because no one gives a shit about that. I bought a lot of them for about 30-40 chaos and started corrupting them till I get the +2 traps on them. That is definitely the best corruption you can get. I was lucky, I got it, I'm very happy with that. The gloves is probably the best thing that happened to trappers in a long time. Slave Driver's Hand, this is exclusive drop from the temple, the Incursion Temple, and this, guys, is your #1 priority, because it makes it that you cast your traps, you throw your traps using blood magic, using your life pool, and it makes it that you don't need clarity, you don't need any mana flask, you don't need any bullshit. It also gives you endurance frenzy and power charges when you enemy trips triggers your trap, which is fantastic as well. These are pretty expensive at the start of the league because they are scarce. They are only exclusive from the incursion temple, so they're like over 100 of KS at the start of the league. So gather your currency and try to buy this as fast as possible. The boots are at Series Step, the only boots in the game that give you so much dodge, and these are actually the boots that I corrupted myself, where I threw the lucky Valorp and got the 6% chance to dodge spell hits. You need to get this as well. They're not very expensive. You can buy like from 20 KS to 1 Exile, easy peasy. The Emerald Exhaust Blood with the Heart of Flame anointment. There are actually two good anointments that you can use. One is the Heart of Flame, which is more expensive because it uses golden oil, and another one which is cheaper is where is it? Wait a second. Divine Judgment. I forgot where is it. Divine Judgment. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Divine Judgment. Increase elemental damage and damage penetration. So this is kind of the cheaper option, guys. Divine Judgment for anointment. So Exhaust Blood, increase life, increase strength, increase fire res, penetration, covers an ash in the avatar fire, converts everything to fire. The rings are two options here. So basically overall there are two variants on how you can play this and how you can deal damage with this build. The first is just like this, pure defense, life resistance, and the second option is using the Circle of Anguish with the effectiveness of the Herald of Ash and increased fire damage. This is pure damage, and unfortunately you're becoming squishy with this. You can see like the life drops, the resistance drops, so it could possibly mess up with the Wise Oak a little bit. But it gives you so much more damage. I've seen people using two of this. Honestly, guys, I prefer tankiness. I don't want to die more often. So if you really want to boost up your damage to the absolutely astronomical amounts, you can use one Circle of Anguish or two of this, but I would prefer tankiness. The belt is nothing spectacular, normal life resistance belt. The Abyssal Jewels that I'm using a lot of this. As you can see, I get like 4 Abyssal Jewels. There are just the same. Damage to spells, fire damage to spells, fire damage to spells while dual wielding, fire damage to spells, crit chance, crit multiplier, fire damage spells to dual wielding, and life. That's all I got. The flask, quartz flask, mandatory because we want to get as much dodge as possible, guys. Diamond for the crit chance. Bottle Faith, this is your end game flask, which is kind of a headhunter flask. Definitely the strongest flask in the game. If you can get it, it's fine. If you just can't get it, use a normal sulfur flask, perfectly fine. 1 life flask and 1 Wise Oak for penetrating the fire damage. The cluster jewels already explained, and the thread of hope already explained. So that's about it, guys, for the items. For the skills, 6 link, explosive trap, trap and mine damage, cluster traps, awakening ally focus, added fire and control distraction. For the Flamethrower, which I have in my boots, Flamethrower Trap, Trap and Mine Combustion, and multiple traps, so we can throw 2 at a time. With the charges that we get, we throw 3 at a time, which is very cool. The auras are Skitty Bots for the chilling and shocking aura. Herald of Ash, a little bit of precision to fill in the mana. And I have also Bear Trap for slowing down the fast bosses, which is fantastic utility. The mobility is dash with second wind, blood magic, and summon lightning golem. Also, I don't want to use anything here, just blood magic, and that's it. And the last is cast of damage taken with a Mortal Clone Wave of Conviction, guys. That's about it. Shit, I actually forgot to mention one little thing, and this is a free link flammability that I also have. I use Blasphemy with flammability, and there's practically no difference between the flammability and elemental weakness, but since we are all fire, it's kind of reasonable to use flammability. Also have Enduring Cry here, just in case to get extra Immortal Cold procs in density if my Enduring Charges wear out. So I have this. You can also switch flammability to, let's say, Enfeeble or Temporal Chains if you wish to be more tanky to debuff the enemies from afar. So definitely very flexible, guys. That's it. Alright, guys, I really hope you enjoyed the build guide for this, and this is definitely one of the strongest characters that I've played this league so far, and I can totally recommend it as a league starter if you haven't started playing, let's say. At the same time, this is the cheapest build, as I mentioned before, that I've played probably in all my 35 builds that I created. This is the cheapest one. If I like compare the effectiveness between the investment, definitely can recommend. This is Saros 8 that I took down as well, so DPS is not a problem. Definitely check it out, guys. If you haven't played Trappers, this is the build to go. Very cheap, high damage, fantastic mobile, pretty moderately tanky, can take all down, all content. This is the deal, guys. Thanks for watching and see you next time.